Today, we're installing drag pipes on our Honda Shadow 1100. So the pipes that I got are gonna fit any Shadow 1100 97 to 2007, the last year, whether it's the Ace, the Arrow, the Sabre, the Spirit. So I'm gonna walk you through this start to finish. This should be a very easy, straightforward process, and by the end, hopefully, we've got a motorcycle that sounds bad to the bone. So let's rip into it. And my name's Micah, welcome to the channel. All right, so as far as the stock exhaust system goes on this, we're gonna have our mounting bolts that are gonna be right down here. Got a couple more bolts there, and that's what holds these two mufflers together, but the mufflers individually can come out of the header. You'll see their clamps just underneath, and then I've got two nuts on either side of that exhaust flange there. So that's all there is to the exhaust system on a Shadow 1100. So I'm gonna try and remove this the easiest way possible. And I think for all the bolts that we need to get at nuts, it's just gonna be a size 12 millimeter. Now I did have this whole exhaust system off this bike just the other day. I was doing a little experimenting here so I could know what kind of exhaust system I wanted. So I had pulled off the mufflers from the headers because I wanted to know how loud the bike was with just a straight through pipe, to know if I could possibly do drag pipes that had no sort of a baffle or decibel killer. And the short answer is no. In no scenario. The bike is far too loud without any sort of a decibel killer or baffle. So that was the reason then that I got the pipes that I got. But moral of the story there, I think I know the easiest way to take this off now. So we're not gonna worry about taking the mufflers off from the headers. I'm gonna try and remove this whole system in just one piece. So before I loosen up our mounting bolts that kind of hold this from the tail end here, I'm gonna loosen up both of those nuts on each of our header flanges. And once I get those off, then I'll pull out my mounting bolts, and I think this should just lift off in one piece. And then those two mounting bolts they're each about this long, and there's a nut on the back side. So really all I'm gonna do is just turn that nut off of the back side, and then there's no additional threading, so I should be able just to pull those out. One nut is off. Second nut is off. Let's see if I can pull those bolts out of there. There is one. I told you it was longer. And the second one, sweet. Now if my calculations are correct, I should just be able to kind of hold this from both sides and hopefully just slide it right on out of there. All right, one is off. Second one is off. Yep, just like that, boom. Ugh. Well, and then our gaskets, our exhaust gaskets are still in the cylinder head, but they're just a beautiful copper color still in there. They're not jeopardized in any which way. We could probably reuse these if we wanted to. I've got new ones, so we're just throwing the new ones in. All right, let me grab our new exhaust so we can see what that looks like. All right, here is what we're working with. So, this does have a removable decibel killer. There is just one bolt there that holds that in the end of the pipe. But these exhausts kind of flow backwards, and then they come together and come straight down. So this is going to be the front one there. It kind of comes across the motor, and then the back one a little bit shorter there. So I'll kind of just set these roughly in their spots. Yeah, so that's about what our finished product is gonna look like. Well, let me take my gloves off so I can get ultimate precision. See if this is gonna line up for us. Looks like it's gonna work just fine, so we'll put some nuts back on there. I'm gonna need a little help from Mr. Ratchet there, just with my long extension. Yeah, there we go. So I'll just leave that one there, and we'll get the front one on. Change your angle here. Give you a front row view. Boy, I am just not gonna have much for threads available to me. We'll give her a go and we'll see if we get any exhaust leaks. Oh, I better get that little bracket. So don't throw this away as you're getting all your garbage together, but it's just a little angle iron there. And then you get 2 nuts. Well, why don't you come over here? So if you can see that stud behind there, you've got 2 of them, one on the back of each of these pipes. So let's see, I'll just put my angle iron in there. Push the pipes together so that fits good. Well, by golly, it looks like the one. Before I cinch that down, make sure we're not touching the frame, nothing like that. I look at the gap in between there. It looks good to me. I wonder if these nuts are a 12 as well. They are not a 12. Why would they be a 12? Who uses size 13? Who does that? Well, and then since our new exhaust is not going to utilize any of the mounting holes, you know, for the bolts that our old one did, I think I'm going to remove this whole little bracket here. It looks like, yeah, there's just a nut on the back side and then 2 bolts here. I think those are a 12 again, so we'll just take that off. All right, should just pull off of there. So that's the funniest thing ever in this bracket. The little rubber battery strap. So I haven't even looked to see if ours is on our battery. I'm guessing it's not, but there it was. How did that not get lost on the highway? Well, so I think we've got it all situated. So take a look at this. Oh, baby. That they just come right across the engine there and then just go together. They slightly turn out right at the end there, both of them. Yeah, I think that's gonna work. That's kind of a unique looking exhaust system. Well, let's stop being silly and let's fire it up. Decibel killers in. Honestly, I don't know if the decibel killers will ever come out of this exhaust just because these are too loud when they're straight piped. All right, let's crank her over. Oh, the old moment of truth. Did we do something bad? No. No, I don't think we did. Well, and there is a good amount of bass to it. It's not as tinny sounding as I thought it might be. The nut there for our decibel killer is loose, so I'm gonna tighten that. All right, let's really wind her up just a little bit more anyways. Yeah, I'll take it. I think that's gonna be exactly what we were looking for. Hoo-wee. So yeah, the exhaust, it sounds better than I thought it would. I got this system off eBay. It was priced at $186, I believe it was. I had seen a couple other systems similar to this. I think the name was Iron Growl, but they didn't have any decibel killers, any baffle in them whatsoever. So my initial plan was to order those, but after I pulled off the factory mufflers and heard the bike with just the headers, I knew that we had to go with a system like this that did have the decibel killers. And even with the decibel killers in, I would say the volume on a 1 to 10 scale is definitely an 8 or a 9, but the sound and tone is good, so I'm not changing anything there. One thing I will say about this exhaust is that there's no sort of heat shielding like we had on our factory exhaust, so I'm sure that this is gonna get just hotter, you know, on a hot summer day stuck in downtown traffic with your leg being on your peg right here, going right past that. That could get a little bit warm. Well, and I'll sit on it for you here so you can kind of see where my leg is relative to this. Ugh. So if I'm on it, foot is right there. Yeah, I have about 4 inches or so, 3 inches, 4 inches in between my leg and the pipe. And even when my leg is down, you know, if I was holding the bike up, again, yeah, it's about that 4 inches in between my leg and the pipe. So that is enough. I'm not worried about getting burned, but I think I'm gonna wrap this exhaust. But otherwise, I mean, the look of them, the sound, the price point, it's hard to go wrong. So So in the video description below, I'll put the link to this exact exhaust system and those exhaust gaskets, the new ones for your VT1100. They're gonna be our affiliate links, so eBay throws us a couple bucks if you use our link to get there. Otherwise, comment with any questions you guys may have, and like the video if this helped you out today. Subscribe if you want to see more, and until next time.